Thanks for joining us.
It's very good to be with you, Brian. Good evening.
You're an economist.
Well, Brian, I'm an economics consultant. Actually, I'm principally an economic strategist.
What does an economic strategist do?
Well, I provide advice, Brian, strategic economic advice. I do a lot of work with governments.
And what sort of advice do you give?
Oh, well, are you thinking of going to the races on Saturday, for example?
Well, as a matter of interest, yes, I am.
Yeah, I'd be advising you not to.
Oh, really? Why?
Well, if you saw the modelling, Brian, you'd appreciate perhaps why that's not going to work quite so well for you.
But it might probably work better for someone else.
Indeed it would, Brian, and if I were advising them, I'd be saying you should do everything humanly possible to get Brian and people like him to go to the races.
Fair enough. Now, there's a G20 meeting being held in Australia.
There is, yes, in Brisbane, Brian.
Yeah, fight fans are in for a big treat, aren't they?
I believe there is a curtain raiser at this year's fixture, Brian. It's the marketing people. They're trying to get, media interested.
Yeah, it says International Floodlit Nude Wrestling.
Is that what it says?
Yep.
I don't know that that's the right demographic to be looking for at a G20 meeting, Brian.
What is the G20?
The G20, Brian, is a group of governments and central bankers from the 20 biggest economies in the world.
Of which there are how many?
How many countries are there in the G20?
Yeah.
19.
So why is it called a G20?
Well, the European Union and the European Central Bank also attend. They're also coming down to Brisbane.
I see that. And why is that?
Gets them out of Europe, Brian. Takes the pressure off the country.
Now, there's a G7 as well, isn't there?
There's a G7, which is a much smaller group, obviously.
Well, what's their difference?
The difference between the G7 and the G20?
Yeah.
G13, Brian.
No, I mean, what's the difference in their agenda?
Oh, well, there's no curtain raiser at the G7, Brian. They get stuck right into it on the Monday morning. They chew through it very, very quickly indeed.
And what's the B20?
B20 is a meeting of business leaders, Brian, who are meeting to try and work out what the pressure points are that they want to concentrate on in terms of briefing people up for the G20.
And there's an L20, isn't there?
There is an L20 as well, yes.
I suppose they're the Labor leaders, are they?
That's right. That's Labor leaders working out what their perspective is on the prospective G20 meeting.
And of course there's a 2020 as well.
There is, Brian, but if you saw the modelling for that, you'd keep your money in your pocket.
Why's that?
Well, have you seen the results for next year's fixtures?
Not yet, no.
No, well, that'd be the email list to get onto, Brian, and if you're not on that list, I'd stay well away.
I'll take that advice.
It's just like the G20.
Thanks for your time.